Hey there, it's Tony Butler, and today we're going to talk about creativity and how can you improve how your mind works. I'm going to share 3 of the best creativity hacks in existence. They're evidence-based, they're proven to help creatives of all types unleash the inner muse, because marketing and business in general is about creatively solving problems. Ideas are what drive the world, and at every level, by improving creativity and your execution of it, you'll improve every aspect of your working life. But before I get into it, please click on this video, and if you haven't done so yet, follow this channel. The secrets to health, wealth, and happiness will all be revealed to you. Well, maybe not. But at least some solid business and marketing advice, all right? So let's talk about creativity. Creativity is a type of production, all right? Your mind is a lab. It's in product are new ideas. Or more common, combining what's already known in the world with other ideas to produce something new. For instance, think about drive-through service. It was first invented for banks in the early 1930s by a guy named Jordan Martin. Customers could drive up, make a deposit, but they couldn't make a withdrawal. They could just put money in the bank through a window. Okay, they didn't have to get out of their car. That's all the way back in the 1930s. Almost 90 years ago. It was a big deal then. Cars were still growing in popularity. It was kind of a novel concept. And then right after that, fast food restaurants saw the idea and they realized it would work for them in a little bit different way. It would add to their service. They didn't invent it, they adapted the idea. And that's the that's the number one way that your mind works, okay? It connects one idea to another and then adds something to it. Okay, so truly new ideas, like something completely new into the human lexicon, they're very rare. And because the mind always begins with what it already knows, and then it starts by trying to connect what it already knows to the problem at hand, and then it looks for all the different ways other ideas in its storage unit might connect to it. So think about fireworks, okay? As the story goes, a Chinese alchemist was mixing some different chemicals. He was trying to come up with, the secret to eternal life, the fountain of youth. And he accidentally invented gunpowder. It was right around 800 AD. And it was used then within a pretty short period of time to develop fireworks. But it took 400 more years for them to then invent cannons. And then a good deal after that, after cannons, then it took them a while to think of firearms, and then eventually have guns like we have today. And then we took that idea, this expansion, chemical expansion of fire, acceleration of burning, and the pressure that it creates, to create rockets, and then eventually combustion engines. All those came from this idea. Okay, so keep this concept at the top of your head. Your brain begins with what it already knows, and that leads to the main question. How do we improve our creativity? So if you want to improve your creativity, it helps to understand how the brain works and how it optimizes its functionality. So I already told you about the process the mind goes through trying to connect what it already knows with potential solutions to problems to come up with something new. But how does it actually do it? Scientists have a theory, and it's called unconscious thought theory, or UTT. When you're awake, your mind takes in information, and your conscious mind is able to accomplish, certain kinds of processing. You think things through while you're awake. You think about something, your mind searches your memories, and it gives you an answer, okay? You follow processes, conscious processes. If you decide you want a cup of coffee, your mind remembers your favorite cup is the blue one, and it's in the cupboard, where the coffee is, and how to make it. But when you're asleep, something else happens. Your mind shifts into this unconscious type of data processing. It works on problems and tries to make connections to what it has in memory in a completely different way than when you're conscious. Okay? It's one of the reasons why so many ideas seem to appear in dreams or while you're taking a shower. Your conscious mind is just wandering and not really thinking. But your subconscious, it's still working. It's still working on those problems that you have. It's still working on the things that you've been thinking about for the last few days. Okay, remember back when you were in school, if you ever worked on to learn a new math concept, and you just couldn't quite get it, but then you woke up the next morning and suddenly it was pretty easy. That's why. Your subconscious mind worked on the problem and how to do it and delivered it to your conscious mind. Okay? We're just unaware that this happens. So here's the breakthrough tip number one. You can use unconscious thought theory, UTT, to your advantage. I've been doing this for a lot of years. It's worked for me. I first read about the concept from, copywriters, from old time copywriters, 20s, 30s, 40s, okay, where they think intensely about a problem that you have that you want to solve. And then, about an hour or so before bed, you review it again. And then what you're going to do is, in the morning, as soon as you wake up, you're going to pull out a pad and paper and you're going to start working on it, okay? That night before, it can be any problem. It could be something you want to write. It could be a solution to a problem you're having at work, in the business, a marketing issue. It could be anything, okay? You'll be shocked how well this works. All right, so back to it. You take a problem, you think about it intensely during the day, put it down, and then right before bed, about an hour or so before bed, you're going to look at it again, you're going to think about it intensely again, and you're going to you want that answer in the morning. Then in the morning when you wake up, very often, a creative solution is going to arrive. And sometimes it might take a few days, it might take a few weeks, just depends on how complicated the problem is, okay? Second tip, much harder. You have to guard what you allow to enter your mind, okay? Your mind is literally picking up on input from everything around it. It doesn't stop. Think of information like fuel of a car. If your car is running on gasoline and you accidentally put in diesel, it's not going to run. Or if you put in jet fuel, it might go for a little while, but then it's going to burn up. Okay? You're going to have a problem. It needs the right fuel. If you're filling your mind with the news and negativity, you're spending a lot of time browsing social media, it's overload. It's data overload. Okay? It doesn't have real contextual meaning. Scrolling and just taking in pictures and taking in memes, it's really bad for your mind because your mind doesn't know what's important. Okay? It just stores information and then it's gotta wade through all this nonsense trying to get to what's important. And the other part of it is news agencies thrive on exaggerating and blowing up the smallest thing into giant controversies that don't really exist. And they put your mind in a tense state. Whether you realize it or not, it's happening. So unplug, get off the internet as much as you can, take a digital hiatus. Your mind will thank you. I like to take at least 4 hours a day, especially in the mornings, usually from 8 to 12 in the morning. I'm off the net. I'm working. I'm in quiet. I'm like a hermit. I'm all by myself. I got the door closed. My phone is off. The computer is on, but internet's turned off to it. And I'm just working. I'm doing something creative, okay? You need to fill your mind with information that's organized. It needs to be thoughtful, positive, and helpful to you in some way. So a lot of you are going to struggle with this. You got to read books, listen to audio tapes, watch the occasional show that's more than just a Netflix mindless entertainment, something that's designed to help grow your understanding of the world. Okay, you want to put ideas in your mind that it can connect to help you find and make more connections to the problems that you want to solve. Okay, read a wide variety of material, read in other industries, ask questions, learn. It will make an enormous difference in your business. Okay, so that's tip number 2. Tip 3. It's related to what I just said about mental input, but think about this. Your mind is a type of muscle, but it doesn't have movement like you're doing bench press or you're doing a bicep curl or something, trying to get those muscles to adapt. All right. Your mind adapts, but it adapts to something different. It adapts to deep thinking, okay, and focus. If you've ever heard about the Memory Olympics, it's a fascinating idea that has a real-world application. So if you've never heard of it, every year all around the world, people compete to become memory champions. Okay, and there's a lesson here. Just bear with this thought. Okay, in the memory championships, there's 4 main events in the competitions. Okay, and this is where the competitors are going to test their memories against each other. So one of the first events is they have to memorize a deck of cards in 5 minutes. Second event is a large sheet of randomly generated numbers. Got to memorize as many numbers as they can. I think it's in 10 or 15 minutes. And then there's a names and faces event where competitors are given a headshot of pictures, from like here up, and it has a first name and a last name associated with it. And they got just a few minutes. They got to memorize as many faces as they can, and then remember the first and last names with the actual correct spelling. All right, really hard. And the last event is a poetry memorization event. Competitors are given a piece of unpublished poetry, so no one's ever seen it before. They've got 15 minutes to memorize it, and they write it out, okay? And whoever can most accurately recall the poem wins. Punctuation, spelling, all matters, okay? The lines, they all matter. It's an extraordinary event. Your mind is capable of incredible feats of memory. For far more than most people realize. With the invention of digital tech and smartphones, I think a lot of people have lost this skill of memorizing, but the concentration that comes with it, that's the main point here. Okay, think about this. The record for memorizing a deck of cards is 18 seconds. That's 18 seconds to just kind of go through the deck, glance at all 52 cards, and memorize them forward and back. The suit, the color, and the number, okay? I mean, it's amazing. Another memory athlete, Akira Haraguchi, I'm sure I'm butchering his name, if it's even a guy. Akira could be a girl, I guess. Memorized 100,000 digits of pi. Okay, I want you to think about that. 100,000 digits in a row of pi. Okay, took 16 hours to recite it. It's an incredible thing. That's the extremes. That's the tail end of the sport. But here's the thing. Scientists studied these athletes and they found something very interesting. None of them have special memory. None of them are geniuses. But what they have is they have trained concentration and a framework for their mind to remember. Okay? When I first heard about this, I didn't believe it either. And then I learned about it, I studied it, and then I applied it, and it changed my life. Okay? So there's this reporter, his name is Joshua Foer, F-O-E-R, who covered one of the memory events. He had no previous training, he didn't know anything about it, and he decided to learn how to do this system, okay? And he became a bit obsessed with it. Within a year, he was competing in the memory championships. He's just a normal guy, okay? He literally strengthened his mind in a way he didn't even know was possible. He wrote a book about it. It was called Moonwalking with Einstein. Great book. I definitely recommend you read it. So I'm not suggesting you become a memory athlete. What I'm suggesting is that you approach your mind like a memory athlete, like a muscle, and you strengthen it. Okay, the number one thing you can do is strengthen your concentration and your focus. Okay, practice concentrating as hard as you can on your most difficult problems. Okay, practice remembering, practice memorizing things. It will change everything, because then what happens is your mind gets stronger over time. The stronger your mind is, the easier it is for it to make connections, and the more creative you're going to be. Okay, and then when you combine that with UTT, it's a winning strategy. Okay, but concentration is key, focus. When you learn to put your entire mind on a single topic or task at a time, no distractions, no pinging phones, no messages, no email, pure concentration, everything will change for you. I promise you, everything will change. Concentration and focus, it's a modern day superpower. Okay, if you combine that with limiting your input and then you use UTT, your entire life will improve. Anyway, so enough with the lecture. I hope you took something out of those three things. I practice these every single day. 3 tips to improve your imagination: unconscious thought theory, limiting and curating your input, and improving your concentration. Okay? But of course, like always, if you have an interest in content marketing, you might consider checking out our Primal Storytelling System. There's nothing else like it in the world. We offer a Primal Storytelling certification, and you can earn about completing the course. It's a proven formula for delivering great results to a business and can be a great way to make yourself more valuable in the marketplace or apply it to your business. You can message me on Instagram or just Anthony at Anthony L. Butler, or shoot me an email at anthony@candouideas.com. All right, that's it. Tony Butler, be well.